For a long time, Sony's APS-C lineup felt steady, predictable, and almost too well established. The cameras were good, sometimes even excellent, but they rarely sparked the kind of excitement that signals a major shift in direction. The Sony A6700 was a perfect example of that balance. It delivered strong hybrid performance, impressive video features, and reliable image quality, earning its place as one of the best APS-C all-rounders on the market. Yet even with all its strengths, it still felt like a refinement rather than a reinvention. It improved the formula without redefining it. That is exactly why the growing conversation around the Sony A6900 feels so different. Something about the tone has changed. The rumors are no longer just about incremental upgrades or routine improvements. Instead, they suggest intent, direction, and a possible reset in how Sony approaches the APS-C segment. What makes the Sony A6900 discussion so compelling is not just the list of rumored features, but the feeling that surrounds them. There is a growing sense that Sony may no longer be treating APS-C as a secondary category or a stepping stone toward full frame. Instead, the messaging implied by these leaks points toward a more aggressive position. The Sony A6900 is being discussed less like a simple successor and more like a statement of purpose. If even a portion of what is being circulated turns out to be accurate, this camera may represent Sony reasserting itself in a segment it once dominated with confidence. It is important to emphasize that everything currently known about the Sony A6900 remains unconfirmed. These are still rumors, not official specifications. However, they are not random or disconnected guesses either. They follow a pattern that aligns with recent industry trends and Sony's own historical development cycle. The most consistent and widely discussed claim centers around a new 33-megapixel stacked APS-C sensor. On paper, this is more than just a resolution increase. It represents a fundamental shift in how the sensor operates and what kind of performance the camera can deliver. Stacked sensor technology has already proven its value in higher-end systems, particularly in full-frame flagship models. Bringing this technology into APS-C territory would be a significant step forward. The primary advantage lies in speed. Faster readout times reduce rolling shutter distortion, improve motion rendering, and enable more responsive shooting experiences. In practical terms, this means cleaner results when capturing fast action, more reliable autofocus tracking during movement, and a shooting experience that feels closer to professional-grade cameras. For many users, this kind of performance improvement would matter more than any single spec increase on paper. Alongside the sensor, rumors point toward a new processing engine, often referred to as an advanced XR2 class processor. If this proves accurate, it could dramatically elevate overall performance. One of the most discussed claims is the ability to shoot at extremely high frame rates, including up to 30 frames per second using an electronic shutter and around 15 frames per second with a mechanical shutter. These numbers place the rumored Sony A6900 in a performance bracket that begins to overlap with sports-oriented professional cameras. It suggests a system designed for speed, responsiveness, and high-action capture. However, with that level of performance comes a natural trade-off. Some reports suggest that the buffer capacity may not be large enough to sustain long bursts of continuous shooting. In other words, the camera may be capable of shooting very fast, but only for short durations before it needs to pause and clear data. This creates an interesting balance between peak performance and sustained usability. It is the kind of design choice that often sparks debate among photographers, especially those who work in fast-moving environments like sports or wildlife photography. Another area generating strong interest is stabilization. The Sony A6900 is rumored to feature an improved in-body image stabilization system, potentially offering up to 8.5 stops of compensation. If accurate, this would be a substantial leap forward. Stabilization is one of those features that often goes unnoticed in specifications but becomes immediately obvious in real-world use. Better stabilization means sharper handheld photos, smoother handheld video, and greater confidence when shooting in low light or unpredictable conditions. It reduces the need for tripods or external stabilization systems, making the camera more versatile in everyday use. Design changes are also expected, though they appear to be more evolutionary than revolutionary. Early information suggests a slightly larger body compared to previous models, likely to improve grip and handling. This would address one of the most common criticisms of compact APS-C bodies, where portability sometimes comes at the expense of ergonomics. Additional customizable buttons and refinements in control layout are also expected, indicating that Sony may be paying closer attention to usability rather than focusing purely on compact size. On the video side, the Sony A6900 appears to be taking a more practical approach rather than chasing extreme specifications. Instead of pushing into 8K territory, the emphasis seems to be on high-quality 4K performance. Rumored capabilities include oversampled 4K at 60 frames per second and 4K at 120 frames per second with a slight crop. This approach suggests a focus on real-world usability rather than headline-grabbing numbers. Oversampling from a higher resolution source typically results in sharper, cleaner footage, which is more valuable to most creators than unnecessary resolution extremes that require heavy processing power and storage. One of the more controversial rumored decisions involves storage. The Sony A6900 is expected to feature a single CF Express Type A card slot. While this would ensure high-speed data handling, it also removes the redundancy that many professionals rely on. Dual card slots have long been considered a standard expectation in higher-end cameras, especially for users who require backup recording for critical work. A single slot design introduces a level of risk that may not appeal to all users, even if performance is improved. Whether Sony fully commits to that vision remains to be seen. But if the Sony A6900 delivers even part of what is being discussed, it could mark a turning point. Not just for the lineup, but for how APS-C cameras are positioned in the broader photography landscape. And in that sense, the excitement surrounding it is not just about specs. It is about possibility, direction, and the idea that Sony may be preparing to lead rather than follow once again.